this is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord and Richards. And in this segment of our show, we're going to be talking about a recent read that I had called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And in a recent excerpt, one of our segments, I talked about a guy named Ronald Read. He's got an amazing Wikipedia entry if you have time to read it, but it basically lists him as a gas station attendant. He used to work for J.C. Penney as a janitor, and then it says he was a philanthropist. He died in 2014 and left behind a fortune of $8 million. It was a remarkable story, and it was a model of long-term, just consistently saving and investing in the simplest of ways. And a principle I want to derive out of that today is that financial success is not a hard science. It's not about getting the degrees. It's not about, mentoring under somebody. It really is a soft skill where how you behave is more important than what you know. Those life principles that we learn so often when we're young from our parents and our grandparents and from other people in our lives are really what are going to make you more successful, as opposed to whether or not you have an MBA from Harvard and that kind of thing. You say, well, I don't agree with that. Well, let me contrast for you. So we have Ronald Read on the one hand, janitor, custodian, multimillionaire at death. On the other hand, we have Richard Foscone, who passed away in the same year, or he didn't pass away, but he had a big event. Richard Foscone was everything that this down-to-earth guy Ronald Read was not. He went to Harvard. He got the MBA. He was a Merrill Lynch executive. He was so successful in finance that he retired in his 40s and became a philanthropist as well. Former Merrill CEO David Kamansky praised Foscone's business savvy, leadership skills, sound judgment, and personal integrity. What a guy. As a matter of fact, he made the 40 under 40 top business people list. So here he is in retirement. He's a philanthropist, but he's obviously going to be spending a lot on himself because in the 2000s, Foscone borrowed heavily to expand his 18,000 square foot home in Greenwich, Connecticut. I'm always kind of amazed at where people put their money, and an 18,000 square foot home just seems to be a little excessive. It had 11 bathrooms, 2 elevators, 2 pools, and guests recalled the thrill, quote, of dining and dancing atop a see-through covering on the home's indoor swimming pool. He had 7 garages, and it cost almost $100,000 a month just to maintain this home. When the 2008 crisis hit, it turned Foscone's finances to dust. He had a really high debt, obviously, because he was investing heavily in himself and he was borrowing heavily for things like these homes. He had illiquid assets, so it left him literally bankrupt. He told a bankruptcy judge in 2008, "I currently have no sources of income." His Palm Beach house was the first to be foreclosed, and then the Greenwich mansion, his 18,000 square foot prize, went down in flames as well. It was sold in 2014, just 5 months before Ronald Read left his fortune to charity, for only 75% of the appraised value. Wow, what a contrast. Now, of course, one of the lessons is be like Ronald Read, right? Invest like Ronald Read. Wealth gotten hastily will dwindle, but he who gathers little by little will see it increase. Proverbs 13:11. We've talked about that many times. But in addition, there's another area here that we can learn from. In what other area of life, what other skill set besides finance, besides money, does someone with no college degree, no training, no background in the field, no formal experience, and no connections massively outperform somebody who has all the best of all that stuff? It's unusual. You wouldn't hear of a brain surgeon, being outperformed by somebody who had never been trained. You wouldn't hear of somebody building a more exquisite skyscraper than somebody who hadn't trained to become an architect. But yet in finance, it seems that behavior trumps those hard skills that we develop in places like colleges and in internship programs with big brokerage firms. So as you think about yourself, what I want you to remember is this, is that The key is to be the kind of person who behaves well, especially during periods of market volatility. I really was able to look at my clients' behavior, and for the vast majority of them during the recent market volatility, I was really proud of them because they allowed us to keep them invested in the very plans we had tested for just such a scenario as this. Volatility, stocks and bonds both down. We've literally tested our client portfolio against another 2008-9 crisis happening. And do you think that might happen again? And it was great to watch the vast majority, incredible majority of our clients say, you know what? We believe in the plan that we've built and we're going to stay that course. Now, if you're just invested passively, that has the potential to damage you, okay? But we're talking about having a comprehensive financial plan. We call it a financial independence review, and ultimately it becomes a roadmap when we develop that plan for you. A plan to make sure you never run out of money before you run out of life. A plan to make sure that, a written plan that you don't overpay taxes, both now and when you pass away and leave a legacy to your heirs. So an estate plan as well. A plan to make sure you're not bankrupted by a healthcare crisis, such as long-term care. And a plan to make sure that your risk is reasonable and managed so that you don't have unlimited downside, so that you don't fall freely the next time the markets take a plunge. That's a comprehensive financial plan. And the great thing is we have the opportunity to visit with people like you every single day who are worried about, hey, what's going to happen with all this volatility, Colin? What's going to happen with Ukraine and Russia and what we see happening in the markets and inflation and, supply fears and, now China is closing and all these kinds of things. Well, I can tell you, we can plan for those in advance. And as we so often say here, failing to plan is planning to fail. I would love to visit with you about how you can really experience the life that Ronald Read did as opposed to Richard Foscone. A life where you're financially independent, where you have the freedom and resources to not only take care of yourself, but to spend time with those that you love, do things that you love, do things for the kingdom of God, give generously, live happily without fear of financial ruin. That's what it's all about. That's what financial independence is all about. And we're having conversations with folks just like you every single day so that you can retire without worry and live a life where God can do amazing things through the resources that He has entrusted to you. I'd love to chat with you.